Yorubas cried and wept and shouted about this. Southerners generally, particularly in the Igbo, yelled the most because they were obviously the most marginalized under Buhari. And then Bulaba entered the scene. And everything that Buhari ever did, for which the average Yoruba had a lot to complain about, Bulaba has done and surpassed. Of course, the marginalized must cry. And you really cannot and should not presume to prescribe how the oppressed must express their feelings. Ndigo has again been given more than enough reasons to shout. The gentleman also Biafra keeps reminding me that we must ask them to free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I will never beg for the freedom of anyone held captive by the Nigerian state. And that's exactly what I think MNK is, a captive of the Nigerian state.
My people, una welcome back to the channel. I don't come again with another trending topic for Nigeria. So as una dey see for this trending video, Mr. Dele Farotimi don come out, come beg Nigerian government, say make them release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So he also states so many reasons why they're supposed to release the man. And one of those reasons be say all of us Nigerian victims say in they also complain like others too they complain. Say they supposed don't release him by now. Say the man don't too take for that detention. Say make them freer. So I go allow una make una pay attention to this video. Now in talk plenty talk, sha. You know that Mr. Dele Farotimi is a man of wisdom. So in added so many, so many things that you need to pay attention for you to hear. You understand? Don't go anywhere. Just pay attention to this video. You understand where I'm coming from. Make sure you like the video so that YouTube will recommend it to others, and also share it to your friends, for them to see it too. So no be only you like better things. So make sure you subscribe if you are new to the channel so that you don't go miss any updates. And don't forget to drop your opinion on the comment section.
If he's committed any offense, he should be tried. But this is exactly the point I am making. It was okay to do it under Buhari because Fulani, of course, Awusha hated Ndigo. Now it's okay to do it because, of course, the Yorubas hate Ndigo. Regardless of whether the Yoruba truly hates or does not hate, whether we are dealing with the individual or whether you've lumped everybody together, the point I'm making to you is this. We are all victims, and they merely distract us and divide us by this ethnic hatred. I'm not saying anyone has done that by calling for MNK's release. No. Point I'm making is that that is what they prefer that we focus our attention on. The moment you have a country where you do not have an identikit for citizenship, from that moment, what you find is that you really cannot have citizenship in that space. Aminu cannot be treated different from Dele. Dele cannot be treated different from Kachiku. Kachiku cannot be treated any different from Pategi. If we cannot just simply be one in the sense that we are treated as one under the law, it simply means you have a multiplicity of victims instead of having citizens in that space. The reality of the victim is that it does not matter who is in power, whether that person is of your ethnicity, whether that person is from your religious persuasion. It does not matter if you do not have an identikit for who a citizen is. Let me show you. In the years of Buhari, the most common victim of his incompetence and myopia were the Fulanis themselves. Because of Buhari, the Fulanis as a people were demonized. It wasn't about dealing with the individual. Because of Bulaba, the Yorubas are also today being demonized. Maybe one day you end up with an Igbo person like Oji Uzo Kalu, and then the same thing is replicated, and the Igbos were again before that demonized. So it is the system that allows these evils to happen. Nigeria as it is, that is the system that we should all be focusing our attention on. But what do the Alhajis want? What would the Alhajis prefer? The Alhajis would prefer that we debate elections. The Alhajis would prefer that we talk about the multiplicity of fault lines that Nigeria has opened up amongst us. Nigeria would prefer that we talk about sharing positions, winning offices, spreading the national cake. That is what Nigeria would prefer. The beneficiaries of Nigeria, both within and outside Nigeria, would prefer that we focused on our differences rather than focus on why we are where we are and how we may be able to chart our way out of where we are, which every one of us more or less agrees is not where we want to be. That is what they would prefer that we do. And they do this using members of the Alhaji class, your clerics who come preaching hatred to you from the pulpit, whether those be pastors or imams. They benefit. They don't speak against the system because the system feeds them. The system is what puts food on their table, assures that they can ride billion naira cars. It's the system, stupid. They don't speak against the system. They will tell you to pray for Nigeria because they are preying on you. They are preying on Nigeria. They are preying on Nigerians, and they tell you to keep praying. They don't tell you the cause that has led to the effect that has made living in Nigeria and as Nigerians miserable and rendered the Nigerian victim. They don't speak to that. Seed time and harvest time, they tell you when it's time to demand tithes and offerings of you. But they don't tell you how the choices made by members of their class, the politicians, affect the fruits that you are reaping on a daily basis. But they tell you to pray. They are praying on you because they are allergies. Do you understand? When you look to the primary Ebin Power, is that Igbo? Oh yeah, is that Fufude language? Oh, is that Ijo? That's Yoruba. A Milokan has become a Bilokan because you are not a member of the class. You don't belong to the Alhaji class. You are the one who feels like belonging, and to belong, you've embraced hatred. And because you've embraced hatred, you can't see your fellow victim. It doesn't matter what language or religion the other person belongs to. It does not matter. What matters is this. Is the same, is that person suffering the same deprivation as you? Is the Fulani man going to a different market from you? That the Igbo man does not knock his head on the ground the way you pray. Does it mean that he bleeds any different from you? Did God tell you really that you should hate anyone on his behalf? How can you fail to see the commonalities of the afflictions suffered by every victim, regardless of ethnicity or religion? How can you fail to see that the governors of your state speak your language, are members largely of your own ethnic group, but are not touched by the pains of your afflictions? Their doctors are not in Nigeria. Their dentists are rarely ever in Nigeria. Their homes, not their houses, homes are rarely ever in Nigeria. You are the ones who are stuck in Nigeria. You are the victims of Nigeria. And yet, you are the one who is employed to hate yourself enough not to see the you that is in the person that you are hating. The other man is as much a victim of Nigeria as you are. He is as much a victim as you are. Òkú sunkún òkú, akaṣọ lórí, wọ́n sunkún ara wọn. The dead weep for the dead, and yet they fail to recognize the commonalities. What I'll say to you is very simple. We have a clear pathway out of the mess that we are in. What I have sought to describe to you is the reality of the Nigerian, the true meaning of Nigeria, who his victims are, and who the beneficiaries are, the allergies. But it is not enough to diagnose a problem, but then fail to prescribe the medication. And I have never failed at any point to offer a way out. The only thing that had happened before now is that you were not listening. It has taken literally my own self-immolation for your ears to become a little better. Your hearing has improved significantly. I must say that. So let's try again. Nigeria pretends to be a democracy. And the electoral part, as sick as it is, and I must say it is sick, it is not designed to deliver any value. The second, can you stop that? I'm having some sound interference. Sorry about that. The electoral part is not designed to deliver value to the victims. It is merely designed to offer some measure of legitimacy to the fraud that we have called elections in Nigeria. Just before I was abducted, I had called for electoral reforms. I'm not a man given to much by way of patience once I've settled on a position. And I generally never believe that you guys listen to anything, so I tend to speak believing that I'm speaking into the womb of time and that it is another generation that we go on to do what is necessary. So I'm going to hide all chat because it's becoming a little distracting with my Biafran brothers and those who are speaking to them. So I really can't see whatever you're typing again so that I might be able to round up my sermon. So as I was saying, I remember distinctly saying at the time that we must have a national boycott so that the legislative arm might hear clearly our demand for electoral reform. Don't worry, I have no illusion about the country in which we live. But I also believe that it is on us as victims to chart a course, a peaceful course to our emancipation. That it is completely on us as victims to demand a way out of the mess that we ourselves have imagined, discussed amongst ourselves, gotten ourselves to buy into, with a clear pathway into the future. I believe it becomes that easier for the people to be mobilized. And the next election, if there be one in 2027, will not merely be a charade, because long before that date, the Nigerian will know exactly what constitutes change and what kind of change he is expecting. And when the people become awakened to the possibilities of change, substantive change into which they may buy, it then becomes easier to have an electoral revolution. I've never been shy about making clear to all of you, if we do not have a revolution in Nigeria, we cannot change Nigeria. But not every revolution is based on violence. Because this revolution is not just about changing a system, it is about changing ourselves, our mindset. We must move from the victim mentality to the citizen's mentality, where we hold ourselves as accountable as we expect to hold the system that we must create. Because the system with which we are grappling today, and I have no doubt about it, this system is the true evil. It is not about persons. Persons are abusing power because the system is structured to allow it. Whatever power you're seeing abused in Nigeria, whether that is judicial power, whether that is the power of the police, that of the DSS, the custom, the EFCC, all these abuses are obviously allowed by a system that is not structured to uphold the law. Impunity has become a culture with us. It's not just the persons in government. Musicians would have people picked up and locked up. Bankers would have people picked up and locked up. University proprietors, all kind of people up and down the length and breadth of Nigeria, traditional rulers, a rich man with no office, legislators happy slapping a person simply because he dared to ask questions. Impunity is the order of the day in our country because we are not subject to law. And it is not only the rulers, even the ruined are copying the ruiners. So if Nigeria must truly experience a revolution, it is not just about the system. We as individuals, including myself, must get to the point of understanding that it's no longer about they are the problems. We collectively are the problems because we are the victims, but we are also the solutions. But this can only come about when we understand that there isn't going to be any Voltron anywhere. I came out of prison as fast as I did because you all found your voices. You acted as one to a very large extent. I wouldn't kid myself and say that the bad idiots cared whatever happened to me. I've seen a lot saying he got what he deserved. But the point is, believe it or not, when you validate the oppression of one on account of your hatred of dislike of that one, you validate the use of the same impunity and oppression against yourself when it comes round to your turn. The problem with Nigeria is the absence of citizenship. Yes, but that has also evolved a culture of impunity in the Nigerian where it does not expect to be held to account. We must all understand that our revolution can only come about when we ourselves are ready and willing to be different. Nigeria, a criminal enterprise. The victims, those who should be citizens. But there are two classes of victims. The one who is aware of his victimhood and can articulate the situation, and the victim who is unaware of the fact that he is a victim. I am not a victim that is unaware. For years I've labeled myself a victim of Nigeria. But the difference is that I'm a victim who is aware of my victimhood. The Alhajis, they are senators, your governors, your presidents, past and present, the generals, the many who have profited from the putrefaction of Nigeria, your pastors, your imams, the Alhajis, the captains of industries that produces nothing but extract maximum value from the country. Those are the Alhajis. You'll be wise to recognize your victimhood. It should help to speed up the end of it. We will begin by demanding substantive electoral reforms predicated principally on two changes or additions to the Electoral Act. One, it should not be left to INEC again. There must be automatic transmission of results from the polling unit level. So the IREF must be live for there to be any election. We must see results real time or there have been no election. It cannot be left to an INEC regulation that INEC would willfully flout and an inept would allow it to get away with it. Whether you blame that on the lawyers, whether you blame it on the judges, the important thing is that justice was not done. The second thing is that there must be room for independent candidacy. Nigerian political parties are not found on ideology or principles. The process of registration of parties are almost impossible to surmount. The people knows who and who their people are. The Electoral Act must allow for independent candidacy. Those are the two reforms I will be pushing. I'll be speaking with you, a lot of you going forward. And definitely, before the end of January, I would have consulted a lot wider than I did the first time. And I'll be coming back to you with a clear timeline, or shall I say, timetable and action plan. That may very well include a national movement for boycott, because going on the street would only cause damage to the victims. Might just be a day in the month, might just be a day in the week, but that's just my own idea, and a lot more consultation would have to be done. When we have earned the right to vote and have our votes counted for those we care to vote for, not because they managed to buy the ticket of some political party, but because we know them and we know they are capable of delivering on their promises. When we have done that, then we can be talking about an election in 2027. But whilst yet we pretend to be democracy, that is my own peaceful path to a revolution. And that is the path we must take. If Nigeria must stop being a business and a criminal enterprise for their allergies and their ogas, if the victims must become citizens, we must have an action plan and stop with all the squabbles. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure speaking with you this morning. As you know, I've always enjoyed the sound of my own voice. I got my live chat back on now so that you guys will at least allow me. You know what they say, it's time to bid you bye-bye for the week. I will see you again next Sunday when we shall again be speaking about our country, Nigeria. But I assure you, I will also be putting things together to come back to you with some plans. God bless you all. Be good. And yes, Nigeria, you're not afraid Nnamdi Kanu. Now, what do you do when it's like this? Yes, if he has breached any laws, take him to court. But you haven't done that. You've given him bail. You still refuse to let go of him. So please, let's stop with all these slamming people in prison without cause. Right? That's where I'm stopping today. Enjoy the rest of your week. And yes, if mosquito bites you this year, bite them back.